1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 7. But refuse profane and old wives' fables, and exercise thyself rather unto godliness. All right, what are wives' fables? Well, traditionally, they are half truths or superstitions passed down from one generation to another. Some examples of these are, if you flip your sister upside down, you're going to flip the liver. If you keep crossing your eyes, they're going to get stuck. Don't swallow your gum because it takes 7 years to digest. Have you ever heard that coffee stunts your growth or it'll put hair on your chest? That's a wives' fable. Pull one gray hair and two will take its place. The swing of your wedding ring will determine your baby's gender. Heartburn during pregnancy or long labor is a sign that you'll have a boy. If you want boys, eat bananas. How about wait 30 minutes after you eat to go swimming? These are many of the wives' fables that can be found out in the world. Now, as they pertain to spiritual things, and as to what Paul is speaking about, he's talking about myths, legends, traditions, and heresies that oftentimes would be presented as spiritual truths. These things would get passed down from one generation to the other, from an elder woman to a younger woman. It's unclear as to who Timothy has in his life that he would need to refuse their wives' fables. Perhaps it's women in the church of Ephesus. Perhaps it's his own mother. Perhaps it's his wife or even a mother-in-law if married. Now, Paul gives Timothy some things to refuse here as far as the wives' fable, which is in contrast to things not to be refused in verse 4. Paul is also going to give Timothy something to do by way of spiritual exercise. This is a continuation of what Paul warned Timothy about in chapter 2, where women were to keep silent in the churches. Paul also warns Timothy about profane doctrines and vain babblings and bad science. In 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 4, Paul says to Timothy, neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies, which minister questions rather than godly edifying, which is in faith, so do. 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 20. O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings, and oppositions of science falsely so called. All right, 2 Timothy 2:16. But shun profane and vain babblings, for they will increase unto more ungodliness. In 2 Timothy 2:23, but foolish and unlearned questions avoid, knowing that they do gender strifes. And of course, where we are at in the age of Laodicea, what Paul warned about certainly comes to pass. In 2 Timothy 4, verses 3 and 4, for the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lusts shall they heap to themselves teachers, having itching ears. And they shall turn away their ears from the truth, and shall be turned unto fables. So these wives' fables. All right, Paul also exhorts Timothy to exercise himself unto godliness. That is, spiritual exercising for the Christian, so that he is not unfit in the age of Laodicea. In Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10, Christians are commanded to be strong in the Lord and the power of his might. Philippians 2:12, Christians are commanded to work out their salvation with fear and trembling. And 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7, Timothy is told to exercise himself unto godliness. In 2 Timothy 2:15, study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. In 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 3, Christians are commanded to endure hardness as good soldiers of Jesus Christ. That is, we are called to be an outfit, not unfit. And then lastly, in Romans chapter 12, verse 11, and Hebrews chapter 6, verse 12, Christians are commanded not to be slothful. All right, that'll close 1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 7. Until next time, may God bless.